Hi, I'm Caroline.
And I'm Megan.
And this is The Songwriter Diaries,
a podcast by songwriters for songwriters. Oh my God, hi.
Hello.
We're back.
With another one.
Back with another one.
We're so honored to have Coulter Lee Brown with us today. We all went to college together. Mm-hmm. It's so weird to see you via the interwebs now, and you're a father and married and like a real person. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're like you're full blown adult mode.
Yeah.
That's scary.
That's incredible.
Well, why don't we just dive right in and have you tell us, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your journey in music thus far.
Yeah. So my name's Coulter. I've got a band, Coulter Lee Brown and the Bad Habits. We play music, working on putting some out. I also play guitar for my wife's band, London's band. And that's basically what I guess I also work in music in my day job, but musically, my music, that's kind of the thing. And I've been doing it a long time. I started playing guitar in the 5th grade. Started writing songs pretty soon after. Performed for the first time in high school. And then went to University of Colorado, Denver for music. Moved back to Houston in 2019 and have been gigging and doing all that kind of stuff since then. So
what's your day job?
Short of it. I run a music school / studio. So we've got a place called Rehearsal Room, and I'm the studio director there. We've got over 200 students there. It's an awesome place that we built ourselves. Each room's a recording studio. We've got a venue in the back. We do bands. We do private lessons. We record and produce people. Even our bands at the school, we actually, every time, because they do shows like 4 times a year, we record a single for each band and put it on a compilation album and release it on Spotify and stuff. So if you look up Rehearsal Room on Spotify, you'll see about 5 albums of bands from 8 years old to 70, songs they've written, covers they've done on Spotify that we've done and produced and put out for them.
Oh my gosh,
that's so cool.
Yeah. So that's what I do. That's my day job, is studio director over there and a teacher. And then I gig on the weekends. And that's basically, I don't really have a day off very often. In fact, we drove in from a Dallas gig at 2 a.m. And then I woke up at 7 and did sound at a church, and then got home, and now I'm doing this. So,
oh my God.
No.
I'm a constant. I'm a little
I don't know how you're alive.
You
have coffee though. You have coffee.
Yeah, chug that coffee.
Well, because we originally had you booked for later, and then you're like, we could do earlier. And I was like, aren't you coming back from Dallas?
Yes. I was going to take off church, and we were going to drive back today. But then I was like, we could, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, Saturday nights, we try to go to bed early because I've got church in the morning. So I've got to wake up and do that. But sometimes you don't get to sleep till 1 or 2 in the morning anyway, because Oliver's up, or, you can't fall asleep. And I was like, I can just drive home and get basically the same amount of sleep I usually get. Still be tired. It'll be fine,
Yeah.
Once you, I know there's a tired that you feel as a college kid. Like you pull an all-nighter and you're tired. You've got an 8 a.m. and you're tired. Have a kid. So much more tired. Like there are extra levels that you didn't even know existed. And so now for me, when I'm thinking like I'll be tired, it's like I have not been tired in 2.5 years. It's kind of constant.
That's your base level.
Base level is tired, and then you
sound like
go from there.
You sound like such an old man right now. You sound...
Well, and even in school, I was an old man. So just imagine an even more tired me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You've
always just been a 40-year-old tired man,
Yeah. Okay.
That's the level.
Yep. Slowly actually becoming that, I think.
Yeah. Not that 40 is old, to clarify.
No, but I'm getting there.
Not old.
But older than you actually are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny, because I turned 27 this year. And for me, I'm like, wow, late 20s. That's weird.
Yeah.
Soon it'll be 30, and then I'll be 40 and be like,
yeah,
keeps happening.
Yeah. Until 30, like it doesn't really, like you hit 30 and then it's kind of like, okay, now what? Now it's just downhill,
well,
you know?
And that's
no, it's uphill, man.
Thanks,
me,
like positive.
I kind of like each age group is split up into like, okay, 20 to 22, your early 20s, right? 23 to 26, mid 20s. 27, I was like, that's late 20s. You're getting out of there.
Late.
You're
late.
I was like, it's happening. This year it's happening. I'm becoming an adult, even though I've been an adult for 4 years now.
You're becoming a real
8
adult.
years now. I don't know. I don't know when you start being an adult.
Never. If you're us, never.
Never really.
Yeah.
Never really.
Yeah. You're a kid raising a kid.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always going to be accurate, though, for anybody.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast this morning. Chris Evans was on a podcast, and he was talking about something, and it came up that he was like, the mind is basically the only thing that doesn't really age. So you talk to 70-year-olds and they're like, do you feel old? And they're like, no, not really. Like I still feel how like my body feels old, but like I feel like myself. I've never felt older. It's a weird thing to think about, because I know I'll be 30 and be like, so when do I feel old? Like when do I, my back hurts, but it's always kind of hurt.
Yeah. I've always been tired. My back has always hurt a little bit. Like,
when do I start thinking I'm old?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We need to have a philosophy podcast too.
Yeah.
Dive into these issues. Yeah. What does your songwriting process look like? Get us back on track.
Well, it's kind of changed. It was for the longest time. Is in college, especially, it kind of started from a acoustic guitar, find chords, hum a thing, say random things. It becomes words. You shape it into a thing, right? Mm-hmm. That's always how I have written. Kind of the brain dump stream of consciousness is where I get lyrics. If I don't, like sometimes you get a line and you write it down and then you try to work it in. But lots of the time it's just, oh, I said this. That almost made sense. Let's make it make sense. So that's how I wrote for the longest time. But then kind of since I moved back to Houston, I, started getting recording equipment and, upgrading certain things. And because I didn't have a band with me, so I had to, if I wanted to make music, I had to do it all myself. And from that point on, it's kind of become a thing where I will have a feeling or an idea that I want, or like I hear a song and go, oh, I want to do something that has the feel of whatever song I just heard. And I'll create the bones of it instrumentally first before I even bring melody or lyric to it. So I'll have a loop, like a 4-measure loop of a chord progression or a groove on drums, bass, guitar, lead guitar, key. Like I'll have the whole feel of the song done. And then I'll go in and find the melody, and the lyric comes from that. So I've almost 180'd on how I used to write, because it used to be lyric first, find the song, and then it was just spit random stuff and then find it. And now it's create all the bones and then build off of that. And it's made me write different songs than I normally would have, because I don't think I've written a song on the acoustic guitar in 4 years. At least for myself.
Oh my gosh.
When I write with her, it's on the acoustic. But I haven't written a song just sit on an acoustic and play it in a long time.
Wow,
that's wild.
That's really interesting. And like, we haven't had a guest on in a while that's like kind of had that approach, so it's really interesting to kind of refresh. That's really interesting.
Well, and that's, for me, it was a refresh, because I felt like I kind of got stuck in the like, okay, these are the chords I know, I can do these things. Okay, what can I find over? The creativity had to be in the melody or the lyric, and it got to the point where I wasn't feeling that creativity anymore. And so I needed to find it through a different place. So it was, through the electric guitar. And then I was like, hey, I could make a drum beat to this. And then I can build. So I built the whole track, and then found that it was easier to find something unique to me. Maybe not unique to music, but for me, it was like, oh, this is an idea that wouldn't have come with just my acoustic. And of course, after I write the bones of the song, I do like to play it all the way through on the acoustic, just to see, make sure it has, the core to it, the chord progression, the lyric, the melody all work. If I can play it on the acoustic, it's good, but that's not where I start anymore. I kind of start sonically. I want to get the vibe first, and then I can find the song in it.
Love that. So would you say that you see yourself more as an artist or as a songwriter, and why?
Oh, I've always seen myself as a songwriter. Like, even now when I'm, I play with a band, I play with my band once or twice a month, and then I play with my wife's band once or twice a month. And I put out a single last month. I'm putting out another one next month, putting out an EP end of the year, album next year. So I'm doing all this stuff that's artist. I'm an artist. I promote myself as that. But I'm never like, I've always been like, oh, I'm a songwriter. That's my thing. Of course, I like that I can be an artist too, but that's never been in my head. I'm a songwriter and I play guitar. Those are my two big things. And because I'm those two things, I'm also an artist, and I play guitar and help my wife write some songs sometimes. So it's
okay. Now I have another
songwriter guitar
question.
Equals everything else.
Okay, another philosophical question though.
Okay, go.
Why do you say I'm a songwriter that plays guitar rather than I'm a songwriter and a guitarist?
Well, I do, because I'm not satisfied with where I am as a guitarist yet, and I never will be. But like, no. I do, like, on my promo stuff, it says songwriter, guitarist. That wording is in there. But when I'm personally thinking, like, I know so many better guitarists. There's so many people better, and that's not saying I'm not good, but I'm just saying, like, when I'm satisfied with my guitar ability, when I've learned everything I know, I'll market myself as that. But right now,
and then you could say
songwriter, I'm the best at that, and then I'm pretty good at guitar.
Yeah,
and then that makes me, I can be an artist now, I guess.
Yeah, because you are a guitarist. Yeah, like that's what you do in London's band, right? You're the guitarist.
Yeah,
you're not just the guy that plays guitar.
No. You're right. It's true.
Own it.
I'm always, you're your worst critic. So that's, it's always, for me, I'm never like, you're bad at this, but I am like, you could be better. You could be better.
Wow, what a mood. That, like, we should just take that snippet and like post it somewhere else. That is like so relatable.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
mean, maybe not the best mindset to have, but I feel like it's pretty inherent to most artists, for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not a unique feeling. Like, every time I talk about it to people, it's like,
I find it's rare that someone's like, yeah, I got it. I'm good to go.
I don't have imposter syndrome. Oh, what's that like?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it's huge. Especially, like, I have found recently, because, like, one of my songs is getting a little bit of, like, iHeartRadio play stuff. And I'll listen to songs around it, or I'll listen to other songs that have got that before, and I'll be like, mine doesn't fit. Like, why Why is mine here? Like, it doesn't fit in this place. And I don't know if that's me just being overcritical, or if it's that little bit of imposter that it's like, I don't think I'm good enough yet. You know, there's a bit of that for sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'll never be like, yep, nailed it. You know, there are always moments of like, I nailed it. Like in this song that's getting the radio play, Love Marks. It's a song I really, really like of mine. But there are still moments in it that I'm like, man, I wish I was better. So it could have, you know, I don't even know what I want it to be.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, you always compare. And so you always fall short a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I feel like every creative person has imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
At least to some degree. That you're constantly trying to recover from, or just, you know, push past.
But I mean, maybe that's what drives you to keep making, you know, new things, is you feel like you've hit a new gold mine, or a new way of doing it, or you know, you're improving because you're doing it more. So you revisit things. And if you didn't have the guy telling you that, you know, you can do better, would you keep doing it sometimes?
Yeah.
You know, there's always, like, I play guitar all the time. Sometimes not because I want to do it, but because there's that bit of drive that's like, I can be better at this. Let's keep doing it.
Okay, so you moved to Houston.
Yes.
What is the music scene like in Houston, and how does it compare to the other music scenes that you've seen or been a part of?
That's a good question. It's interesting because I will say that I don't know how, you know, it's an ever-evolving thing like any other music scene, but I'll just compare it to Denver because I was really familiar with Denver. Denver felt very tight-knit, and I think that was because most of Denver music scene, for me at least, was from the music program at University of Colorado. You know, it was people that knew each other, went out and did stuff, and came, you know, everybody knew everybody. You could say, hey, so-and-so is playing here, and you'd be like, oh, I know them, or know someone who knows them. And we're, you know, it felt very communal. And now here, coming in, because I grew up here, but in high school I wasn't, you know, gigging around town or anything. So I came in not knowing anything about it, and like had to get into it. London had been gigging around for a long time, but she was mostly gigging in Dallas area. So it was kind of, I gigged with her and kind of saw how she did things and met people through her. And then, you know, met people through doing finding my own gigs. And I feel like it's very much there's a wine bar scene, you know, wine bars book you to come and play throughout the area. And then there's a bar scene where it's like, here's a dive bar, come play here. And then you kind of, lots of it is restaurants who want musicians. You go play that. That is all kind of at the ground floor. You know, it's people that kind of pay musicians, you know, and they want solo to duo acts. That's kind of entry level. And I don't know if that's everywhere, but that's definitely how Houston works. And then once you kind of get your legs in that, you kind of bump up to like, oh, this is a bigger venue, still a restaurant, still a bar, but they're booking full bands and they're doing this and they're doing that. And those shows are kind of what leads to you meeting other artists. Because a big one for us is the Rustic recently. And there's 2 locations in Houston, and there's one in Dallas, and there's one in San Antonio. They're kind of all over down here. And tons of people play them, you know. So like my band will play, London's band will play, I'll play them solo, she'll play them solo. The owner of the school I'm studio director of plays them with his band, or he plays them solo. And then you meet the artists that play before you and play after you, because they book 4 artists a day, Thursday through Saturday. So it's like you're kind of always bumping into people. And then there's a big social media presence. So they'll tag whoever is coming and whatever. So when you follow them, you're seeing who's going there and you're following, that's kind of how I have found a way to connect with a scene here is you kind of just rub elbows with people passing you. Yeah. Follow the places they follow and then follow, it's kind of a friend of a friend said this and eventually you meet them and it's great. But then all of that leads into, booking, actual shows. I kind of think of them as gigs versus shows. A gig is a restaurant bar that's paying you so-and-so to play for 3 hours. And then a show is like, okay, I'm selling tickets. Please come see me. And to get those show bookings, it's great to know people and it's great to be able to say, hey, I've been playing these, gigs. And this is who books for those and they'll vouch for me. And people are like, oh yeah, I know him. He's brought me the, it's been a slow build for me. I've been here for 4 years now and just played my first full band ticketed show this past June. And it was great. We sold like 200 tickets. We had a really good crowd. The place booked us to play their smaller venue in November. So we're doing that from our EP release show. So it feels like I'm just now getting some footing in the, third level of this kind of music scene. But it's an interesting thing because you do one for like we were playing at the little bars and vineyards and wineries for 2 or 3 years about 2 years. And you get to the point where you're like, man, if we can start playing the Rustic, that would be great. And then you get there and you do that for a year or so. And then you're like, man, now, I'm ready to level up a little bit. So it's a constant kind of, I can only speak in Denver to, like I played a couple of these kind of restaurant thingies in Denver, but mostly it was, hey, I have a show and I know about 200 people from school who are going to come to it. It felt like very built in, which was awesome. It's an amazing thing for that community. But then it was a little bit, I came here and was like, I don't know anybody. How do I? Yeah.
You have to rework your way up.
One of the first ones that I got booked on is a place in College Station, which is about an hour from me. It's A&M is College Station. And they've got a little college scene, college town, and they do a lot of live music. And some random hotel bar saw a random Instagram post from me and messaged me on Instagram and said, hey, you want to come play? And I was like, yes, please. Thank you. Yeah, I'll come play. Yeah. And so that was kind of my first like, oh, okay, social media is huge here. And so big for me is just, any artist I see that has played anywhere that I've played in the area, I follow and I'll message and be like, hey, how's it going? I'm also a musician in your area. Yeah. Hope it's going good, and I might never speak to them again. I might like one post out of 100 I see, but then in a year, if I'm looking for an opener or an in at a certain venue, I'll be like, hey man, remember, give me a hint to how you get into this place. Yeah. And, you've kind of got to search for the scene, but then once you're here, people just start connecting and connecting and connecting. Yeah. So that's been super cool recently for me.
That's awesome.
And 200 tickets. That's so great.
Yeah. It was really good.
What was the venue that you played?
It's called Dosey Doe, the Dosey Doe Big Barn. It's in the Woodlands, which is kind of one of our little Houston suburbs. But it's a really cool venue. Their capacity is probably like 250 of good seats, and then they've 300 of like they've got pillars and obstructed seats that sell for a discounted ticket. So I played there with me and Keaton Kaufman, who's the owner of the school that I'm the director of. We co-headlined it and kind of really pushed to get people there, and sold about 200 tickets, and it was a really, really fun night.
That's cool.
It's a cool venue. That's, biggest crowd I've ever played to of like people that paid to be there, which is I've probably played to 200 people who didn't care, but those people were there to see us play, which was a really fun atmosphere to have.
That's so cool.
Now it's all downhill. We finished that show, and I was, because Keaton's done it a couple times. He's a songwriter and musician who's been kind of doing this scene in Houston and Dallas area for a long time. And I was kind of like, okay, we hit like it feel, it's those levels I was talking about. I was like, I feel like we hit this level. How do I not go back? How do I not go back? And he's like, well, you never will, because you've hit, you're there. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you've got to just find the next thing to do. Because like we played that show, and the next week I played a gig at the Rustic with my band for 20 people who didn't care. And, it's a little bit of a, like, remember you're still doing this.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. It's part of the grind of playing live music, trying to play live music. But, I've also recently just been messaging, because there's a lot of, smaller Lost Lake size venues, 200 cap, 300 cap venues in the area that touring acts come through or local acts play. And anytime I see anyone that I like or recognize or has a similar sound, I'll just message on Instagram and be like, hey, do you need an opener? Let me know.
Yeah.
It's hasn't panned out yet, but who knows? One day someone's going to be like, yeah, come open for me.
Yes. So. You got to shoot your shot.
Yeah. Like what's going to happen?
Yeah. They're going to block you. The worst thing is that they're going to be like, this dude's creepy block. Man, and then you never have to deal.
Super sweet text I just got saying this dude loves my music and wants to open for me. Block. Like, what's going to happen? They're going to say no, and you're going to go, cool. I wasn't expecting to anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
So literally. What would you say is the biggest lesson you've had to learn while pursuing your music career?
Man, I don't see the thing with that is I don't know if I've like learned anything. Like I've things have happened and I've adjusted. But what? And it's because it goes back to that point of like you're always your worst critic, that kind of thing. It's like I've found that I'm always overcritical of certain aspects of my own music and my live shows and my performances. And maybe something I've learned is to just turn it off sometimes, turn it off when it's not helpful. Because sometimes it's helpful. You're writing a song, you write the song, and then the critic needs to come out, or else it's bad. Or you're producing a song with someone, or I'm getting a mix of my song. I've got to be critical because it's like, hey, it needs to sound how it needs to sound. So it's good there, but playing a show like one of these gigs I've been talking about, going up there and being like, man, I flubbed that second note on that solo of my original song that no one listened to. Like I don't need to beat myself up for that. So I think the big thing I've learned, at least in regards to live, playing live, is not, every show matters, but not every show really matters. Sometimes you're doing it to do it. You're getting reps in, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes a gig like that is a rehearsal for my band. I go, hey, I know we've practiced this song once. Let's try it. Let's see how it goes. It's like, here's a new song. Let's try it. Or even for me, I'll be like, man, I'm never like, this solo always sucks. It's like, I always am flat on this chorus. So it's like, I'm only going to focus on that chorus. Everything else, whatever. I really treat them like it's a practice in live performing, but also just in our playing as a band lots of the time.
Yeah.
I played a solo gig on a Friday and did like 8 covers that I haven't done in 3 years. I was just scrolling through my thing and I was like, I'll try that one.
Yeah.
I played it and I was like, ooh, not going to do that one again. Like that one's not good. So it's kind of, it's a good arena for that because no one really cares.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also not taking yourself too seriously with it. If I'm up there being an artiste for a gig in a bar, what's the point when I can just, work some new material and see if has any legs.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah. I think it's so hard because I'm like, part of me is like, it's good to play every gig, like it's so important. But for those gigs, it's like, it is, and then it's not, like.
Yeah, I think you find important for different reasons. This gig that I played, this is kind of how I like to think of it is there are 3 or 4 kind of check marks for every gig or show. It's like the pay is of course one, and then there's, is it fulfilling for me as an artist? And then there's, does it advance my career in any way? And then, you go through that checklist, and if it doesn't hit at least 2 of those, don't do it. It could be a gig that's super fulfilling, like you're playing with cool people and it's a cool venue and it's advancing your career because you're making connections, but you maybe don't get the best pay. Okay. Play that gig. Or like one of these other gigs, it's like they're paying me really good. I don't love the music I've got to play. I've got to play for 3 hours. Oh, but I'm, at a venue I haven't played before. It's like, okay, do that one. You can find, you start to get burnt out when you are playing those one out of 3 gigs. You play too many of those in a row and you're like, okay, so one of those things isn't being met. I'm either not making any money or my soul has been drained because I've only been making money and I've been playing, covers for 5 years, so it's kind of finding that balance.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so well said.
So well said.
Thanks, guys.
Philosophical over
I'm
here.
a songwriter.
Philosophical.
Sometimes I know words.
Okay. I feel like you're going to know the answer to this question right off the bat. If you could put a bill together with 3 artists dead or alive, who would you choose?
Okay.
Like, I feel like this is something you've thought of before.
Is it a bill that I am watching? Like, it's a bill that I'm going to see?
Well, you're playing it, but you get 3 other acts.
That makes it okay.
But you can answer the other way too if you want.
Well, it's an interesting thing because for me, like, with my mindset, I'm thinking like, okay, who am I good enough to play with? But also like, who wouldn't upstage me? Like, I don't want to. If I'm the headliner, and
you could be you could be the opener. You're the opener.
Yeah.
You're the first slot. It just goes up. Yeah.
I'm at a festival and I'm on the small stage in the corner. And there's a couple the big stages on the other side.
Yep.
I mean,
and you get 3 other artists.
I anytime that because I feel like there's tons of ways to think about it, and I'm just gonna go like the first ones that come to mind. For me, anytime that I'm compared to certain artists, it's a big compliment, right? So those are who I'm going to think of. So it's like when someone's like, man, those lyrics sound like Jason Isbell lyrics. I'm like, hell yeah. He's a top lyricist for me.
So good.
So Jason Isbell and his band would be awesome. I would love, it might be the modern guitar player cop out of John Mayer, but he's always been one of my.
I knew you were going to say John Mayer.
Hey, this song gives me John Mayer vibes. I'm like, cool. Like it's that compliment has evolved for me over the years. Where originally it was like only like, oh, thank you so much, and now you get to the point where you're like, yeah, but it's me. Like, I'm not John Mayer. Like that's my, it's my thing. But it's always taken as a compliment because it's intended as a compliment. So it's like John Mayer, Jason Isbell. And then the third one is hard because I could go for like a little bit of a change up in the vibe, or I could stick with the vibe. Because I feel like this is a whole different bill, but I'll go Ariel Posen. He's a really, really good like modern rock blues slide player, and he's phenomenal. I really, really like his stuff.
Wow.
I've never even heard of him.
Yeah, he's someone who's not super huge. I mean, I'm sure a ton of guitarists know him, but he's so good. And I think he is a good bridge between Jason Isbell and John Mayer. I feel like they would all, like, it's a similar vibe. Nice. Some that didn't make the list. Hosier is one of my all-time
Hosier,
favorites.
you didn't make the cut.
Lyricist. Oh, he made the cut. It's a different bill. That's the next one. And then Dawes was the other one that I was thinking of. Because once again, their lyrics are some of my favorites.
So good, yeah.
So
I really like Dawes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I could get taken off the bill and we could put Hosier on and Dawes, then that would
you
be
could just
the
watch
dream show right there.
Yeah, you can watch.
I'll open in the parking lot. I'll busk in the parking lot for that show.
You might be one of the first people who hasn't picked someone that's dead.
I'm thinking realistically. Like if I could play with those guys,
of course,
if I could be like, man, I'll open for Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix. It's not going to happen, man. It's too late.
Well, it's too late, though. But, time travel.
Yeah, time travel. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Not yet. Nope. Not yet, anyway.
Nope.
We'll see.
Cut.
Well, I can't believe it, but we've come to the time where it's our last question.
Okay. Let's do it.
And the last question
I talk a lot, guys. I'm sorry.
This has been perfect.
We love a ramble.
My favorite is you'll ask a question and I'll start talking about it, and then by the end of my answer, I'm like, man, did I even answer
you have.
The question?
What was
really?
the question?
No, you did great.
Like I need them on my screen so I don't get off topic.
So the last question is, and this is easy or hard. Why do you write songs?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always done it, I started teaching myself the guitar in the 5th grade, like picked it up. My mom had an acoustic guitar that she bought for herself and then kind of quit. Like she was like, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. And so I grabbed it, and we had a couple of those like little song books with the chord graphs in the top corner. So I just taught myself from that. And as soon as I knew a chord, I was making up stuff of my own to go with the chord. And so it kind of always happened. And before I even started playing guitar, I was, writing little short stories in my journals as a 8-year-old, like 5th grade. How old is that? 4th grade. But so I was already writing. And then I just added, the music came, and I was like, hey, I can do it both. I can do them together.
Yeah.
And so now, like, there's never a time where writer's block doesn't exist for me. And that's not saying that there are times when I'm unsatisfied with what I've written. I'll write a thing or have an idea and it'll be bad. And so that'll get pushed aside. But there's always an idea. I write all my songs in my drafts of my email.
What?
Because I can access it from any computer. Like I can log into my laptop and pull up my drafts, and my lyrics are there.
I love how you
pull it up on my phone or my iPad.
You instantly started justifying. You instantly were like,
well,
this is why I did it. This is why.
There's a reason. It's weird. There's a reason.
Google Drive or something.
No. Well, and it's probably because I started doing this before I knew any of that existed. And so now it's too late. I'm in too deep.
It's a bad habit.
It's But so
he didn't even get it, Meg.
No.
I did get it.
No, you did. Coulter didn't.
I did a bad habit. I moved past it.
Oh.
Registered, moved past it.
Everyone listening is going to be like, wow, Coulter and Caroline do not get along. They're bullying each other this whole time. They
don't like each other very much, do they?
No.
But that's like, there's always just random, you come up with a random line when you're driving in the car, and I'll just voice memo it into my drafts folder. And then when you're writing, you look and see if there's anything good there. Yeah. So it's the songwriting, I write because it's always happening and I'm just letting it happen. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it is forgotten. Sometimes it doesn't need to see the light of day. But
I like that answer. I feel like that kind of keeps the pressure off of it too.
Yeah.
Like it's just something that happens, just something that you do.
Yeah. Well, and I think I got to that point because there was too much pressure on it. Like it was in like 2020 where I was intentionally writing for this album that comes out next year. That album, I started writing for this album in 2019. And so in 2020, I was writing for the album. So every song I wrote, I was like, it's got to make the album. It's got to be good enough to make the album. And it got to the point where I was like, everything sucks. This is all bad. Throw it out. And then I kind of let the pressure off and was just like, write a song. If it's good enough, it'll make the album. If it's not good enough, it's not going to. So I ended up with like 40 or 50 songs demoed out and was like, yep, I've got about 15 that are good enough. I'll cut that down to 12 or 13 and then have some extras and see where the rest end up. Something that also let the pressure off was like, the song doesn't have to be good. And if you've got a lot of good songs, they all don't have to come out at the same time. Like I can save some for later and they'll still be a good song. And if they're not a good song anymore, maybe they never were. So,
yeah.
Deep
song doesn't get bad.
You talked about...
It's always bad.
Shit.
Why did I feel like you were looking us in the eyes when you said that? That was always bad.
We're looking the audience in the eye.
There is, if you listen to a song and you go, man, it's great. And then a week later, you're like, no, it's a bad song. It was never very good. You might have just been like in a good mood when you heard it. But even the songs that you hear 100 times and you might be sick of, you can still go, oh, it's a good song. I don't want to listen to it right now, but it's a good song.
Yeah.
If the song is bad, it probably was never very good.
But some songs are so bad that they're good.
Like what?
I don't know. I'm trying to. I don't know. But there are like certain
Maybe.
songs.
Call Me Maybe's a good song. It's a good pop song. Yeah.
Or is it so bad?
If you look at that song, it is a well-written, good, intentional song. It might not be your cup of tea. It might not be the song you go to. There are better songs.
Yeah.
But, it's not a bad song.
Yeah. Okay, well, what's a bad song? Example.
I don't I try to find good stuff in every song, but I hate B-52s. I think
you hate the
Rock
B-52s?
Lobster is a bad song.
Okay, but it's so bad it's good. You don't get happy when you hear that song?
No, I think it's just
it's
bad.
It's so bad it's so good.
It's so bad it's so good.
Bad. Because there are bands that do stuff that sounds like that and it's good.
Okay,
they do it and it sounds like that.
You're too into the comparing thing though.
No.
This is Rock Lobster on its own.
Rock Lobster came on
entity.
and I went, this might be the worst song I've ever heard in my life. And then it kept playing and I kept thinking, this is still bad.
But it's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
maybe what I'm realizing.
I can't stand the B-52s.
Not
Every
everything
other music, I can find something.
Oh my God. Not everything that you like has to be good. I think that maybe it's just so bad that I like it because it's so bad. Doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
But you can enjoy things that are bad. You can enjoy things that are bad. Yeah.
Yes, you can. I don't enjoy things that are bad.
It's like reality TV. Reality TV is trash. Do I enjoy watching it? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yes, but yeah. For me, I think, is it doing what it set out to do? And if it is it trash?
And so did Rock Lobster.
You think they set out to make the worst song in history? Because I don't.
They already had so many hits, you know. They were like, we'll just throw this one.
Sincerest apologies to the B-52s.
Yeah. Love Shack is a bop.
Love Shack is barely redeemable.
Shack, baby.
Hey, it's the rhythm to CPR, so it's good for something.
No, is it? I thought that was Staying Alive.
It was Staying Alive. Did they change the rules?
It keeps changing.
I haven't been up to date.
But I think
on
they're
my
pretty
CPR
similar. Like, love, shine, baby, love, and then Staying Alive. Oh no, they're pretty.
Staying Alive's a little slower, I think.
You started doing Love Shack, but you were doing like a little syncopation. I was like, that would not be good. That would not be good in a CPR situation.
Yeah, you can't do a syncopated heartbeat.
So you talked about this song earlier in the podcast, Love Marks, and that's the song that we're ending the episode with. So can you give us a little who, what, where, when, why on this song?
Yeah. I wrote it in 2019. It was the first song it was the song that inspired this album that I'm putting out in 2024. But it was the first one. It kind of, it was the first song I wrote entirely on the electric guitar. It was the first song that I I feel like it was the song that I found the sound I wanted to have. Because, you know, I had been writing for a long, long time before that and always felt like, this isn't quite, like, I don't know where I fit. And that was one that I wrote it and I was like, okay, this is I found the lane. And I went through a breakup, and after I was done like crying on the couch for a week, this song happened in like 30 minutes. You know, I picked up a guitar and, one of my buddies, Seeger, had showed me a chord inversion that I hadn't used before. And so I came up with a riff from it. And then the song happened in like 30 minutes. And it all came from that chorus. The "Sugar took her top off" line came out of one of those like word vomit things. I was just trying to say stuff that rhymed with the melody. And that line happened. And I was like, ooh, I like that. And so it kind of jumped from there. And by the end of that like hour writing, I was finished with the song, and I messaged a producer the next day and had it recorded in the month, and then I put it out. So it was like quick. Because it was just one that, I feel like the best songs happen when you're not, when you kind of turn off the filter. They just come out and there's the song's done, and then you kind of mess with it from there. But it happened real quick, and I was like, cool, song's done. Here it is. So,
yeah.
And I put it out in 2019, and it is started to actually get some traction 2 months ago. So
that's incredible, though. Yes.
Yeah. Got a new song coming out next month. What's this month? July. Comes out August. And then
and we're
I've got
releasing
another single after that, and an EP in November. So
yes.
After you listen to this, go listen to the single. This is Love Marks by Coulter Lee Brown.
Understand that the more than friends still had a chance of enhancing what I happen to love. I'll stand by answering drunk. You stand by giving me up. Another night, a different bed. Got here quicker than I ever have. Can't stop thinking that she just don't taste the way that you do. Turn out the lights, turn out my head. Gotta get a little further from the things I said. Can't stop thinking that she just don't taste the same. Sugar took a top off, but I'm not really there. I'm laying with your love marks. They're fading from my skin, up the tattooed onto my thoughts. Got me picturing your face, calling her your name. Baby, don't make me say Hot hit my heart, it got caught in red, all led by your touch. Never thought you could get the best of me. I'm running on lust from the look you laid on me. Too late to save what I hid, gave it away for a kiss. I wanna think you're a bitch, cause maybe that'll make this hurt less. Another night, a different bed. Got here a little quicker than I ever have. Can't stop thinking that she just don't taste the same. Sugar took a top off, but I'm not really there. I'm laying with your love marks. They're fading from my skin, but the tattooed onto my thoughts. Got me picturing your face, calling her your name. Baby, don't make me say Sugar took a top off, but I'm not really there. I'm laying with your love marks. They're faded from my skin, but they're tattooed onto my thoughts. Got me picturing your face, calling her your name.